Halloween is one of the most convoluted franchises out there. There are so many different timelines. I mean, you've got the most recent one, which is movies 1, 11, 12, and 13. You've got the original, which is the Thorn storyline, which is movies 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. You've got the H2O storyline, which is 1, 2, 7, and 8. You've got Rob Zombie's two movies, 9 and 10, which are kind of off to the side. And then you've got movie number 3, Season of the Witch, which is unrelated to any of them and doesn't even have Michael Myers. There are so many different ways to watch the movie. It's very confusing, but it's a franchise that I love. And that's what we're going to be looking at today on this episode of Gary Talks.
Where pop culture and Gary collide.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Season 4 premiere of Gary Talks, and Happy Halloween. If there is one film franchise we associate with this holiday, it's of course the Halloween franchise. So today, I'm going to rank all 13 Halloween films, and there's no way I could do a Halloween episode without talking to my very special guest, Jaime Lee Curtis. We'll talk to her in just a little bit, but first, let's get started with what is almost universally agreed upon to be the worst of the Halloween films, Halloween Resurrection. The movie that proved Michael Myers wasn't the only thing that needed to stay buried. We're talking about a film where Busta Rhymes literally karate kicks the shape while yelling,
"Trick or treat, motherfucker."
It's like someone decided to mix slasher horror with an early 2000s internet startup pitch. This thing's got all the atmosphere of a middle school haunted house and the suspense of waiting for your modem to connect. Jaime Lee Curtis clocks out of the franchise faster than a temp on a Friday, and the rest of the cast feels like they were recruited from a failed season of The Real World Haddonfield. The only truly scary thing about Resurrection is realizing that this is what passed for innovation in 2002. Next up, for those of you who don't think that Halloween Resurrection is the worst of the films, you probably agree that this one is. Coming in at number 12, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Imagine someone gave a sociology student a meth pipe and said, "Go reinvent trauma." That's Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. It's less a sequel and more of a 2-hour fever dream about pain, decay, and what happens when Hot Topic gets final cut. The movie turns Michael Myers into a wandering Viking hobo with mom issues and ghost horses. Every character looks like they smell faintly of gasoline and regret. And Zombie, God bless him, directs like he's mad at the concept of subtlety. Now, I respect the guy for trying to say something deeper about the human condition, but somewhere between all the throat ripping and screaming, I think he forgot we actually like a little suspense in our horror. This isn't a slasher film, it's a metal concert at Hell's Cafeteria. Next up at number 11, probably the most disappointing of the Halloween films, Halloween Ends. The franchise finale where the Shape basically hands his mask to a moody Gen Z kid. For most of the movie, Michael's hanging out in a sewer like he's auditioning for Les Mis, and Laurie Strode's writing a memoir about her trauma while her granddaughter dates Haddonfield's answer to Pete Davidson. The marketing promised the ultimate showdown between Laurie and Michael, but we got the Notebook with murder. Don't get me wrong, the final fight is fine. But after 40 years, I wanted a war, not a wrestling match on a kitchen island. Halloween Ends feels less like a finale and more like a quiet quitting. While that movie probably caused the most disappointment among the audience, this is the one that personally disappointed me the most. Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. You ever watch a movie so confusing you start to question if you've had a stroke? Welcome to The Curse of Michael Myers. This one's got cults, runes, druid symbols, and Paul Rudd in his screen debut looking like he just stepped out of a Calvin Klein ad for paranoia. The film tries to explain Michael's evil with a convoluted ancient curse. They tried to make it deep, but it just feels like you wandered into a Dungeons & Dragons campaign halfway through. Still, it's got charm in that I can't believe this got made way. It's the cinematic equivalent of your weird uncle explaining conspiracy theories at Thanksgiving. Coming in at number 9, Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills is like a mob mentality PSA directed by someone who really misses the word evil.
Evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight!
Evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight! Evil dies tonight!
whole town of Haddonfield goes full January 6th with pitchforks and slogans, but somehow Michael's the calmest guy in the movie. The kills are wild, sure, but it's like eating a whole bag of Halloween candy. You're full halfway through and kinda hate yourself by the end. The message here, trauma is contagious, but apparently so is overacting. I'll give it this though, it's never boring. It's just like watching Chaos Theory with the mask on. Number 8 is possibly the most divisive film on the list. Well, no, I take that back. There's one that really divides audiences even more, but I'm talking about Rob Zombie's Halloween. A lot of you hate it. A few people really love it. Me, I think he did a decent job with it. It could have been better, it could have been worse, and that's why it lands right here at number 8, Rob Zombie's Halloween. Now this one at least swings for the fences. Zombies remake gives Michael Myers a tragic backstory that's less pure evil and more a bullied kid who listened to too much Slipknot. Half of its childhood trauma, half is pretty faithful retelling of Carpenter's original. It's got grit, blood, and a solid cast. It's brutal, raw, and genuinely unnerving at times, but it also misses the mystery. I don't want to understand Michael Myers, I want him to be evil incarnate, not the poster child for kids these days. Still, if you like your horror loud and dirty, this one's got enough grime to fill a mechanic's sink. Next is a movie that I loved when it came out. If you had asked me in the late 80s, I might have even said this was my favorite of the Halloween franchise. Over time, though, I realize it's not that good of a movie, and really, it only lands this high because of nostalgia and because the other movies sucked way more. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Halloween 5 is like watching a soap opera with a body count. Jamie Lloyd's got psychic powers now because, sure, why not? The mask looks like Michael borrowed it from a mall mannequin, and the cops in this movie act like they're auditioning for Police Academy 6. But I'll give it this, it's weirdly entertaining. It's got that MTV generation chaos where every scene looks like it was lit by a strobe light. It's not good, but it's fun in that cable at 2 a.m. kind of way. And now we're at number 6, the 2018 version of Halloween. Laurie Strode's back and she's got enough booby traps to make Kevin McAllister blush. 40 years later, she's turned her trauma into a fortress and her house into a metaphor for American paranoia. It's sleek, smart, and vicious. Director David Gordon Green actually got the tone right, modernized but respectful. It's got weight, it's got emotion, and it finally lets Laurie have the upper hand. The message is clear. Trauma doesn't define you, but it'll sure as hell prepare you for company. If there is one name that you associate with the Halloween franchise, it's, of course, Michael Myers. But if you associate a second name, it would be Jaime Lee Curtis. I recently had a chance to sit down and talk to her about a movie that she's producing for Apple TV, The Lost Bus. For people who aren't familiar with it, tell me a little bit of the story of The Lost Bus.
Kevin McKay is a school bus driver who, the day of the Paradise Fire, the Camp Fire as it's called, we call it Paradise Fire, after doing his normal drop-off, there was a call that went out that there were kids stranded at the elementary school whose parents couldn't get there to pick up their children. And he volunteered, even though his own kid was homesick and his mother was home and very ill. Instead of going home, he went and picked up these kids and Mary Ludwig, the teacher. No one knew what had happened to them, and hence the title, The Lost Bus.
Well, your director, Paul Greengrass, is known for a very specific style of filmmaking. How did that shape the look of the movie?
Paul Greengrass is his past work is in documentary filmmaking, and of course now doing narrative films. It really helps to have real people, the real people from the story who are participating in the filmmaking, adds a level of reality and truth to the movie and to the rest of the actors portraying these real people.
Finally, so you talked a little bit about the plot of the film, but really, what is this movie about?
It's about survival and family and community and what happens to all of us when we are tested and when life hinges on a couple seconds you never see coming. And what you do in those seconds determines everything from then on, and you won't know what you're going to do until you're there. The Paradise Fire was a couple seconds no one saw coming. And what Kevin McKay and Mary Ludwig did, in particular with these 22 kids, and what they did in those seconds determined everything from then on, and they wouldn't know what they were going to do until that moment. That same story applies to every single person in Paradise, both people who lost their lives in the fire trying to save the lives of their families and people who survived the fire and were able to escape and get their families out. Life hinged on a couple seconds none of us saw coming. And the fact that we've made a movie that gives you a tiny sense of what that must have felt like and how people respond and act in these moments of tremendous crisis, and the heroism of every human being, everyday people, teachers, bus drivers, firefighters, nurses, doctors, is a real testament to the human spirit.
And for the record, I was told before the interview I could not ask any questions about Halloween. Everything had to be about the lost bus, and who am I to tell Jaime Lee Curtis or her people no? But let's get back to the countdown. Coming in next is another one that starred Jaime Lee Curtis, Halloween, H2O. You can practically hear the Scream soundtrack echoing through this one. It's the late 90s, everything's shiny, self-aware, and full of Dawson's Creek extras. But H2O works because Jaime Lee Curtis is locked in, delivering a fierce, grounded performance that screams, "I've been through it." This is Laurie Strode with a career, a haircut, and a firearm. It's efficient, well shot, and it knows what it is. It could have ended the franchise right there and we'd all be happy. Of course, they didn't. Because studios treat Halloween movies like Starbucks treats pumpkin spice. It needs to be here every year, and you'll eat it up. And now for the top four. All four of these are ones that I love. I pretty much watch all four of these every single year. Coming in at number 4, Halloween 2. The sequel that picks up right where the original left off, back when continuity was still a thing. Michael Myers stalking the world's least staffed hospital is the kind of eerie movie I can get behind. It's got a grimy, early 80s feel, a killer score, and more atmosphere than half of the franchise combined. Plus, we get the whole Laurie is Michael's sister twist because the 80s couldn't resist a soap opera reveal. It's brutal, efficient, and meaner than the original. I know a lot of people say that the original John Carpenter's Halloween is untouchable and is the best movie ever, but my number 3 favorite Halloween movie I sometimes like better than the original. I know that's sacrilegious, but I really just enjoy this movie. I think it's very well done, and we had all missed Michael Myers in Halloween 3, so of course we were happy to see him back in Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. After skipping Season of the Witch, Michael's back and ready to remind the 80s what fear looks like. This one's simple, tight, and effective. Danielle Harris gives one of the best child performances in horror, and the tone feels right, like the franchise remembered its roots. The mask looks like it was made from recycled Tupperware, but hey, it's the 80s. Everything looked like a lunchbox. This is comfort food horror, low budget, high energy, and filled with small-town paranoia. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it keeps it rolling. If it was sacrilegious that I sometimes like Halloween 4 better than the original Halloween, then everyone's going to get really mad right now, because coming in at number 2, the original Halloween. The OG, the granddaddy of modern horror. John Carpenter's Halloween is the cinematic equivalent of a primal scream. No blood, no gimmicks, just mood, music, and inevitability. It's a slasher symphony where the silence is scarier than the stabs. Laurie Strode isn't just the final girl, she's the blueprint. It's timeless, it's chilling, and it's still better than most horror films made 45 years later. If you don't love Halloween, check your pulse. You might already be one of Michael's victims. And now for number 1. Yes, I'm one of those assholes that ranks this as the best Halloween movie. Let me explain why. I know it doesn't have Michael Myers in it, but this was the first Halloween movie I ever saw. I recorded it off of late night TV on VHS and I watched it over and over again, and really this is one of the 2 movies I most associate with Halloween and watch it every Halloween. The other is, of course, Sammy Kerr in Trick or Treat. But my favorite movie of the Halloween franchise is Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. Yeah, that's right, number 1. No Michael Myers, no problem. This movie is bonkers, a sci-fi horror fever dream about killer Halloween masks, pagan conspiracies, and Irish robots. Tom Atkins is out here drinking, flirting, and saving the world with the energy of your dad fixing a carburetor. It's weird, it's wild, and it's got the catchiest earworm in horror history.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock.
People hated it back in the day because Michael wasn't in it, but now it's a cult masterpiece. It's what happens when horror says, you know what? Let's get weird. So I'm sure I pissed a lot of you off by having that as my favorite Halloween movie, but what can I say? It is my favorite of the franchise. I'd like to thank my special guest, Jaime Lee Curtis. Everyone be sure and check out The Lost Bus on Apple TV. And be sure and join me next week when I rank all the albums of one of my all-time favorite bands, Metallica. See you then.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock. Thank you.